All right, I've told you many times that I get these flashbacks. Now, this speaker is out of a sound tube. Notice it's got four wires. It's a stereo-based speaker. It's two speakers in one. And you're going to like, what? Yeah, there's two coils on this speaker. Because remember, it's a round sound tube. It's very hard for them to get stereo to come out of it. So anyway, I'll look at something like this, and right away I get a flashback. 6x9s. So back in the olden days, way back, most people could only afford uh, the radio that was in the car, and it was AM. There was no AM FM radios. There were AM FM radios, but they came in Cadillacs and high-end Chevys, which I think Cadillac is. But anyway, so everybody had the same Mopar radio, and under the dash, was it a 4x6 speaker under the dash, 4x9? It was a smaller speaker in the dash of the car. So everybody wanted to put a speaker on the back deck of the car. And later on, we put two back there. And they were 6x9s. And they were always Spark-O-Matic. Now, believe it or not, Spark-O-Matic wasn't that bad of a speaker. The price point was perfect for us poor guys. And the only downside is the deck on old cars was steel. And there were no cutouts for speakers. So I was the guy that would cut the hole for the speaker. Now, I had drill bits, and I had a collar that would go over it, and you would tighten it to the drill. And that's so when you were up underneath in the trunk with your feet hanging over the trunk at the knees, folded over the knees, you're in there, and now you laid out in blue, or you scratched the layout of where you have to put the holes. And you lay under there and you drill a series of holes. And you can space them out and then come back in with a smaller drill in between the bigger holes and then go up on top and then use a file. You couldn't drill from the top because the hand drill itself would hit the window. Right? So I can't tell you how many of these speaker holes I made. But you're upside down, you're drilling a series of holes, and all the filings are dropping on you. If you're lucky, the trunk's big enough, you can move out of the way, and you put down a tarp or something to catch the metal filings. Cut the hole for the guy, put the speaker in there, you run the wires. I knew how to take the seats out of the car. I knew all that stuff. Older kids taught me it. And you put the speaker in there. But it's funny, years later I mentioned the Spark-O-Matic speaker in Rets, and this kid was an audio aficionado. He had really super high hearing. He could hear frequencies the rest of us couldn't hear. But anyway, he said, you know, the Spark-O-Matic speaker, the ones with the whiz cone, which is the one I was using. He says he cut the whiz cone off, which is it's a tweeter. It's just mounted to the paper cone has a cup on it, and if you cut that off, you lose the highs of the speaker. He called it a whiz cone, and he said he did it just to prove a point, and he realized the Spark-O-Matic speaker wasn't that bad. For the price you paid for it, its service, it held up in the car. So he said it wasn't that bad of a speaker. But if you went to Two Guys, which isn't around anymore, they sold Spark-O-Matic. If you went to Roth and Slinger, R&S, Spark-O-Matic. White Models, Spark-O-Matic. So no matter where you went, even Burger Electronics, Spark-O-Matic. It was like a franchise, and everybody had this little demo wall, and they had the speaker, the mount, the grills, and they show you what's in it. And then later on, Tenna Mini 8. Look it up. It's a little tiny 8-track player. It was quite good. And a lot of us had that, and that was the better 8-track. It was smaller, it fit in the glove box, and look, this light's starting to flicker. It's always the power supply. Okay, but anyway, we went through all these things. But picture me how many weekends of my life hanging upside down, drilling a bunch of holes, filing it out, and then when it stopped was a friend of a friend came down. and I'm laying the holes out. He wanted two for stereo. He wanted two holes for Spark-O-Matics. And I'm going underneath and I start drilling holes. And he puts his head in under the trunk and he goes, how long is this going to take? I have better things to do. I came out. I didn't even talk to him after that. I come out from under the trunk and I drilled two holes. But anyway, I put the mat back down by the back window and I just refused to answer anything he said. He goes, how long does this take? I got better things to do. Well, if you got better things to do, go do it, because I have better things to do. I did this for I didn't even know the guy. And I'm like, you know what? You hang underneath that trunk. It's over an hour to go all the way around, just probably one speaker. And then you got to go back with the hand drill again. And the bit's got to be new. You know, I'm using up bits and not charging anybody. I had a job and a lot of people used me. And you drill in between. Then you're inside the car with a little tiny file, and you're filing between the holes. Then one more time you touch it up with a rounded file, and then you put your speaker in. And you make sure it's clean, because that when you drill those metal filings, they're magnetic, they can get in the speaker. But anyway, I can't tell you how many times I did that. And that one guy finished it for me. And then other people would mention, I said, I ain't ever doing that ever again. Well, you were really good. You didn't. The other guys were putting the bit up through into the window, and I had a collet that went on the drill bit itself, so it can only drill in a ½ inch. Yeah, that was one of those things I learned how to do. You know, and back then I could be in that position and drill those holes, come out and not have my back lock up on me. See, now even just messing with the TV antennas in the crawl space. Last night I had some back spasms from doing that. This morning I'm fine. But, you know, I've always done these things, but it was so funny. You know, you had one choice for a speaker for the car, and it was a Spark-O-Matic. And later on, Jensen came out with speakers for the car. But this Spark-O-Matic company, they were in every auto store that you would go in. They had it was like a pegboard, and they had the speakers there. I only bought the 6x9s. I don't know if they had any other ones. And then when I was in Radio Shack, cars were coming through. When you sat in the driver's seat, and there's this blind spot in the back, by the back window, to the side, that's the structure that goes up to the roof, that would come off. And in there, you could fit tweeters. So I was putting them in there, and this guy comes in to the Radio Shack, and he goes, you can't cut it. You can't cut apart that structural part of the car. I said, no. I said, when you remove that cloth area or plastic area, I said, there's a hole there. And then you just add 4 holes to hold the speaker in. And he kept saying, you're messing with the structure of the car. You're putting an eighth inch hole in the thing you're messing with the structure of the car. You got to see these cranks that used to come into Radio Shack. And then a guy would go out and show him the work I did. And then, of course, now he wants it done to his car. And he starts negotiating a no money deal. And I'm like, you know, I did it a few times. I'm tired of doing it. These kids used to hang around the Radio Shack, and they installed stereos. And this girl, Lisa, I knew her. She'd come in, and I was always doing her favors. And one day I asked her for a date. And she looked at me. She says, I don't go out with men that don't go to college. I was like, who you bitch? Yeah, cute little Lisa. She looked so cute. But boy, she didn't even hesitate. I don't go out with men that don't have college. And I said, you know, I went to tech school. I had more hours in tech school than a lot of people have in college. But it didn't count. And in later years, when these girls get married and have children and the guy leaves them, and then they find out how much I was making and how much I was worth, then they're like, hi, John, how you doing? I'm like, it's over with for you. You got a kid. You got an anchor. Goodbye. The shoe's on the other foot. But it's sad to say that's the way it went. I saw women differently after I went through the period where, yeah, they'd go on a date with me, but you know, I'm not an exciting person. You know, I don't talk about the shit I'm never going to do. That's what they want. They want you to blow smoke up their ass. It's all make believe. I'm down to earth, and my grasp on reality is different than everybody else's. I tend to see what's going to go wrong because I'm a repairman, and other people, oh, all you should do is this or that, and there's always a trick. And if you watch my last video, you'll see there's a trick putting 2 antennas on 1 television set. And why would you do that? Well, there's people like, well, I'm between 2 markets, 2 different sets of channels, and I want to get both of them. And then there's tricks to it. And I gave you what the tricks are. And a lot of the other videos don't. It's a content video. It's there to make everything easy and palatable. That's a word, I believe. And then you watch the video, and there's a commercial thrown in there, and that's how they earn their money. With me, I suffer through stuff. I stay with stuff until it becomes so painful. But anyway, I just want to tell you about the good old Spark-O-Matics and the 6x9s. And 1 year I bought a car. I went by the back deck, and I looked up underneath, and there were cutouts, all different size cutouts in the back deck. And all you had to do was take the back rug by the window. It came out, and then there was rubber matting that you cut out to the speakers, and then you put them in there, and you put the mat back. The mat by the back window allowed sound to go through it, and I think that was my J2000. And it was a dream to put speakers in that one, and I couldn't get the bezel. I had to make my own bezel for the car. They made the bezel, they sold the bezel, but they were always out of stock because they sold so many J2000 type cars. It was under 4 different names. It was a Sunbird, it was a J2000, Skylark, Sunbird, Skylark. Well, anyway, so anytime I went to the Radio Shack to get the bezel to match the